Oh, hey, sorry. I was just imagining myself in high school going to CIF and how everything would have changed if I would have made it and things of that nature. I don't know if you guys ever get into that kind of scenario where you guys are just imagining yourself just seeing yourself in a perspective that maybe it could have happened or maybe this or maybe that or what if this went different or just reliving a moment. Well, today I'm going to talk to you about maladaptive daydreaming. My name is Angel Valencia, and the things I'm going to be discussing are how is it how is it different from a daydream, some effects, and how it can be associated with a different disorder. First, I'd like to start off by saying what a daydream is. So a daydream is when your thoughts distract you from the present. All right. And I like to start off by saying that it is extremely a normal thing for you to daydream. I'm going to read you off. According to Claire Zedelius, a scientist in the psychological and brain sciences department at UC Santa Barbara, in her November 2020 report for behavioral scientists, states that daydreaming takes up about 20% of your waking hours. 20%. That's a good amount of time. Um, and daydreaming is completely normal. There is nothing wrong with daydreaming. Although maladaptive daydreaming is when you're stuck in your thoughts at multiple times during the day for hours or at the wrong times. Um, you also can create a fantasy in your own world. In some cases, it has been to where people create characters that don't actually exist, but only in their head. You create visualizations of scenarios that aren't going to happen, like I did earlier at the start of this. I was imagining myself in the past, and how things would have changed differently for me, and how much better or worse things could have been. Um, and then for and and some effects of maladaptive daydreaming can vary very much on person to person. There is a lot of social dilemmas that come with it, as well as anxiety and depression that that is commonly seen in people who maladaptive daydream. For example, in the article from Cleveland Clinic, they state that maladaptive daydreaming interferes with parts of their lives. What does this mean? It means that people who are continuously in group settings, for example, they can struggle with just being in the present with a group of people. They can be having people could be go out having fun at a football game, and they're all interacting, and that one person is just not there mentally. They're just kind of like making their own jokes in their head, laughing, and then they realize that everybody's looking at them like, "What are you doing, man? Like you're just laughing at yourself." But in reality, they don't really know what's going on internally. Um, Another example, according to the Journal of Psychiatric Research and Clinical Practice, published in October 2020, there are high levels of disassociation and maladaptive daydreaming. It goes back to my example with the football game. You can be at a football game and you're just don't know what's going on. You can be zoned out into the field. In reality, you're imagining yourself winning a prize or a sport that you play and just becoming the best at that sport and how everybody would react to you. This can cause a lot of issues. Um, and in terms of anxiety and depression, so it is commonly seen in people who struggle with anxiety and depression because if you break down maladaptive daydreaming, you're basically daydreaming and trying to relive something or trying to create something that hasn't happened. So that is depression and anxiety. Depression is when you are thinking about the past. So therefore, you start reliving maybe a tragic memory or a traumatic memory, and it's just going on and on in your head, as well as anxiety when you start thinking about the future. Maybe you're planning on doing this, talking to somebody, and you're trying to figure out every what scenario, what's going to happen, and how to alleviate, kind of how to like cover your bases, but you're thinking about it too much. You're putting yourself in scenarios, and that causes anxiety. Instead of just going and doing it and just figuring it out as you go and learning by your mistakes, you're developing these things in your head. All right. And then my third point is, how can it be associated with another disorder? So the the Journal of Behavioral Addictions mentions that this is a fairly new disorder, approximately 5 years. What this says is that a lot of practicing doctors aren't well aware of this being considered a disorder. So they're very easily associated with OCD, with ADHD, and because it meets the same criteria, but although it's a completely different disorder, it is there isn't enough research done in order for people to fall back on like every other disorder that is really well known. And according to the Journal of Psychiatric Research published on February 2021, OCD is extremely similar in criteria, but a completely different disorder. Um, what that means is just you can be having these thoughts that just keep coming into your head and coming into your head, and you're getting obsessed with it. And it not necessarily needs to be a bad thing. It could be a good thing in your own head, uh, but some doctors might consider that as an ADHD or an OCD thing, when in reality you're just maladaptive daydreaming, and you're stuck in that mentality. Uh, and yeah, and today I talked to you about what maladaptive daydreaming is, some effects, and how it's easily diagnosed with other mental disorders. And I want to leave you with saying that this is a very common issue. There is a little bit of research, but a lot of help and a lot of support from many forums. And I would hope that someone listening to this can know they're not alone, and that there is people out there that are also struggling with the same thing. And it's time that you acknowledge it, and things will be better for you to be in the present and enjoy everything going on around you. Thank you.